Class, did you subscribe yet? I can only tell you my top 4 Lost Cubs hats if you subscribe. That's the deal we have. Alright, thank you for subscribing. Let's move on to the final 4 Cubs hats and the final 4 Lost hats of my whole grandioso list. The culmination of 8 episodes, probably dozens, if not maybe almost 100 lost hats. That's a bit much, stretching it maybe, but a few dozen lost hats. Comes all down to these hats. First one, World Series, Chicago Cubs champion knit hat, or I guess you could call it a winter hat technically. This is not a beanie. You never use that word in my classroom. Never, ever. It is called a winter hat or a knit hat. Never use the B word again. This one would complete my collection. Well, okay, I have 2 more hats to get. This one, and when they won the NLDS in 2016, I had the hat from when they went to the postseason, the winning the division, the actual postseason side patch hat, the pennant winning hat when they won the NLCS, which was kind of a crappy hat to be honest, the on the field World Series patch hat, the champion locker room hat, the parade snapback hat, which is somewhere, and the gold commemorative hat when they presented the trophy and the new flag at Wrigley Field for their home opener in 2017. But this hat is one of the 2 hats that they wore during the parade and the rally 2 days after they won the World Series. And I think I've talked about this before, but I remember, story time with Professor Hatter, I remember it was the day of Game 7, 2016 World Series, and in my history class, my professor had been kind of egging me on during the whole postseason. He was a Red Sox fan. He was making fun of how the Cubs were choking to the Dodgers, and then how they were eventually going to lose to the Indians when they're down 3-1, but no, it didn't happen like that. And he said, "Good morning to the class," and he's like, "Any questions about the material today?" And I raised my hand and I said, "Actually, I want to make a statement. I want to let you know that I won't be in class on Friday because we had Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning lecture hall. And I'm like, I won't be here on Friday because Cubs are going to win the World Series tonight. And doing the math, Friday will be the parade day, and I'll be in Chicago at Wrigley Field watching the parade." And he was laughing. Some of the classmates were laughing. And some were like, "Yeah, go Cubs." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And I went. I took the L. I took the yellow to the red line down to Wrigley Field. And it was glorious. So this is one of the ultimate Lost Cubs hats. The next Lost Cubs hat is the 2016 side patch that they wore to commemorate being at Wrigley Field for 100 years. The Cubs were not the first tenants at Wrigley Field. It was actually the Chicago Whales in the Federal League that were the first tenants, the first team to play in Wrigley Field. And then that league dissolved, and the Cubs moved in 1916, and ever since have played there. I really can't think of a time where, even during renovation, that the Cubs played a home game outside of Wrigley Field. But this one has the older Cubs logo. I'll try to find a different picture here to show you. There we go. And it's commemorating, a team being at a single facility for 100 years is huge. Not many teams can say that. Of course, the only other team that could say that would be the Red Sox. Otherwise, maybe some European soccer or football team, like one of the teams that plays at Old Trafford. If that's one of the Manchester teams, maybe um, Barcelona at Camp Nou is so old, but it's really hard to find a team that has been at a single stadium or facility for their games for 100 years. It's a really big accomplishment. Speaking of big accomplishments, the side patch celebrating the 100 years of Wrigley Field of 1914 to 2014, plastered all over the front of the hat. That would be a really great hat to have. Something like this would be really cool to have, because Wrigley is just a cathedral. Because what I love about Wrigley especially is not only hearing Gary on the organ, well, he retired end of 2019, but hearing the organ just hollowing through Wrigley, that it's not in a huge area really. It's in the middle of kind of buildings and a small neighborhood that there's a stadium built right into that community, that you sit in the regular stands and you see out into the outfield. You can actually see the blue sky. You don't look into the outfield and see this whole, mess of metal and seats in the way, like some new stadiums are, where it's just built up so high that it's like a toilet bowl in a way, or it just entraps you inside the stadium. You don't see the blue sky that's meant to be played under during a baseball game. A lot of teams are like night teams, really, but a day game at Wrigley is perfection. Wrigley Field under a blue sky in a day game setting is just perfection. Which leads me to, I would say, my ultimate lost hat. A Chicago Cubs on the field, Wrigley Field 100th anniversary side patch on the left side of the hat. This one is what they wore on the field. I really want to keep it that concise. I thought I had seen it at one time, but I was too late to get it on eBay. I know that sounds bad, but that's my excuse all the time, really, it seems like. But this, I would say, would be my ultimate Cubs hat. My ultimate lost hat. It was really hard, and for everyone too, but really hard not to be at Wrigley this year. Everyone loves going to a baseball game at their own team's home stadium, wherever it may be, even if it's a Busch Stadium. That there's just certain sounds, smells, feels, visuals, some things you see and hear that are just synonymous, that you just miss about baseball. For me, it's going down into the concourse by the concessions. My uncle and I always go to the games together. He has partial season tickets, and maybe grab something before we get to our seats, but usually just go straight to our seats, walk up the tunnel, walk up the stairs, and just looking at the green pasture that is Wrigley Field and seeing the ivy, seeing the small green scoreboard with a clock and the flags flying. It's just magical. It's just something that Wrigley is a cathedral to baseball and sports. And am I biased because I'm a Cubs fan? Fuck yeah, I am. But you have to admit that even if you're not a Cubs fan, you have to admit that Wrigley Field is a great place for baseball. It's a historic place, and it's just a great place to be at. So that is going to wrap up my Lost Hat mini-series here. I really want to thank everyone for coming out to watching these classrooms and these sessions, and kind of maybe reminiscing of, hey, I wanted that hat at one point, or hey, that's a cool hat. I wish I got that myself. Kind of a cool way to look at the past. So, especially with the Cubs hats, I hadn't really said this before in the other videos, but especially with the Cubs hats, if you, also you as Hat Club, if you out there see any of these hats anywhere in a fitted size of 7.5 even, or 7 5/8, let me know. Let me know where you find it. And I will be right on it right away as best I can. I'll try not to make any excuses anymore for not getting a lost Cubs hat. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and hopefully you stuck through this whole long video. I'm sure it is just going to be terribly long. And of course my new hat. The Cubs Timeline logo. I'm really glad and thankful that Hat Club re-released this, as well as the White Sox one, which as I'm recording is still sitting on Hat Club. So I might get that one too. We'll see. Otherwise, hats off to you for watching today. As always, go Cubs go. Fly the W. Class is dismissed. Bye everyone.